I'm Aislinn Green, and this is Travel Tales by Afar. Every week, we hear stories of life-changing travel from poets, scientists, authors, entrepreneurs, and so many more. And this week, we're going to hear about a very delicious reason, or rather, several very delicious reasons to go to Estonia. Estonia was one of Afar's recommendations for where to go in 2024, and this story, I think, just bolsters the reasons to travel there. Our guide is Afar executive editor Billie Cohen. Now, Billie is based in New York City, and she's covered travel for years at a variety of outlets, including the BBC. So she knows a story when she hears one. And last year, she was in Estonia for work, and as you'll hear momentarily, the night before she was supposed to fly home, she learned of a surprising food tradition in the southern part of the country. Being both a travel editor and someone who really likes dessert, she jumped at the opportunity. So let's take a drive, shall we? And as they say in Estonia, head isu, or enjoy your meal.
I'm sitting on a sprawling green yard in southern Estonia, outside a small house with a small pond, and someone is bringing me a plate of food. This is not my home. I don't know these people, but I'm hanging out at their house, eating their food, talking about the weather, and laughing at how New Yorkers and Estonians are actually kind of alike, and about how their grandmother woke up at 4 a.m. to bake the cake that I'm currently stuffing into my face. An hour ago, I was standing in onion fields with a man named Paolo. A little while before that, I was in a garden with a guy named Hanno, and he was grilling these tiny lobsters. And before that, I was at a farmhouse, sitting under a shady tree with a university professor named Sirli, and marveling at the striped parfait that she'd made in the colors of the Estonian flag: blue, black, and white. I'm here in these kind of random places that most visitors to Estonia don't get to see, not because I'm a journalist or have any VIP access, but because Estonia does this very special thing. On nearly every weekend during the summer months, neighbors in different towns around the country get together to host what they call home cafeteria days, or buffet days. You might also hear them called open café days. It's when they open their private homes and their gardens as informal restaurants. They cook whatever they want. Could be plates of meat and vegetables, fish soups, onion stuffed breads, a variety of pastries, and they serve it to whoever comes by for a small cost. Some of these are well-organized events with websites or printed brochures with maps, and some are just posted on Facebook and people put up handwritten signs along the road. Either way, the whole thing is incredible, and it's not only because of Grandma's 4 a.m. red currant cake. I found out about these open cafeteria days completely by accident. I'm in Estonia on a guided press trip, visiting, among other places, the city of Tartu, because it's one of Europe's capitals of culture for 2024. And it's just me and one other journalist and our guide, this guy named Hanno. And on the last night, the night before I was supposed to fly home to New York, we're hanging out in a bar talking about what we have planned for that weekend. And Hanno casually mentions, well, I'm going to be kind of continuing to tour around the country this weekend. I'm going to a couple of open cafeteria events. And I ask, what's that? And I'm picturing people gathering in like a bland institutional dining room. But then he goes on to explain that these are a summer tradition in Estonia in which people invite guests into their homes and they cook for them. And you can just go around and eat at people's houses. And I thought, well, that sounds amazing. I need to do that instead of whatever else I have planned back in New York. So I changed my flight and I convinced Hanno to let me tag along because these are the kind of opportunities that travelers dream about. I mean, most tourists don't leave Estonia's capital city of Tallinn. It's a popular port on Baltic cruises, and it has this beautiful medieval town center that's been recognized by UNESCO, and wherever you walk, there's like this aroma of spiced cardamom almonds. It's wonderful. But it's only one small part of a small country. You can get to most other places in Estonia with just 2 to 3 hours of driving. So I'd be literally getting off the beaten path if I went to an open cafe day. Plus, at the end of that path would be tons of delicious food. When we climb into Hanno's car the next day, it's perfect outside. The road out of Tartu becomes a single lane in each direction, lush strips of grass and thick trees on either side, and the sky is cartoon blue. Road tripping is easy in Estonia. A network of highways and well-paved roads connects everything. People drive on the right side of the road. The internet works just about everywhere. In fact, Estonia was a pioneer in internet access and education, and the majority of people speak English. A few days ago, I'd left Tallinn and driven a bit farther west to Soma National Park, where I was basically able to walk on water as I went bog hiking in one of the largest peat bog systems in Europe. But now I'm here in the south, and outside the car windows, the landscape is a blanket of green at this time of year, accented with lakes and forests and gentle hills. Hanno tells me about the first Open Cafe Day, how it started in 2007 on the island of Hiiumaa. Now there are nearly 100 Open Cafe Days every summer across the country. The one we're heading to is on the Onion Route, so named because its sandy soil is great for growing onions. The route is a roughly 100-mile string of villages along Lake Peipsi, a huge body of water that separates the eastern border of Estonia, a former Soviet republic, from Russia. But the first home we pull into looks like a hipster haven from upstate New York. It's a large grassy yard surrounded by restored farm buildings. One is a long stone barn, and it has arched wooden doors that are wide open. There's a counter placed in front, and behind it, I can see people cooking. Another man is barbecuing something on a grill on the lawn. I order a rhubarb lemonade, that pudding parfait that's striped blue, black, and white for the Estonian flag, and I nab a spot on a bench under a tree to people watch. Other guests are sitting on tables and chairs made from tree stumps. They're snacking on fresh-cooked food and sipping glasses of wine. And I see a blonde-haired woman in a flower print dress with white sneakers and a brown apron who's hustling around. This turns out to be Sirli, and this is her home. For today, the barn has been converted into an open kitchen run by her two best friends, her son, her sister, and her mother. At the counter, I look over the menu of snacks. Most are named from what I learned is Sirli's sense of humor. She calls them mosquito bites, aka small servings of smoked meats, and mosquito poison, which is a local mint liqueur. And she also has something called Eat Your Fingers, which are crispy fish sticks in a beer batter. She explains that the name of the town means mosquito ears, and she laughs. Do mosquitoes even have ears? She says to me. Regardless, she's taken the pun and she's run with it. I notice that that's not the only place that she's doing that. Off to our right is a colorful round garden, and it has a wooden sign planted among the herbs and the flowers. It says, "You can have a look around," with a smiley face. All the food she's serving is from local farmers and fishermen. She tells me the ingredients are directly from the suppliers I know personally, and I know where they get them. I even know what the pigs eat. As the lawn fills up with even more visitors, I can see how much work she has in store today. I ask her why she's doing this, and she says, the people who are inside, they're my family and my closest friends. That's the main thing. It's that we're doing it together. That stops me for a minute. Ostensibly, these Open Cafe Days are for the visitors, for tourists. At least that's what I was thinking. Even though most of the tourists are from Estonia, and I'm told by a few hosts that I'm the person who's traveled the farthest for their food. But here at Sirli's, it's about her own community. Getting a peek into that is special. It feels rare, and I don't know, I'm kind of touched to get to be part of it. The day goes on like this, with stops at a backyard barbecue with a teepee-shaped bonfire, at a dock where we watch people float across the river on a hand-cranked ferry to come try some homemade mustard, at a compound that feels like a summer camp where I meet a group of painters and I try some cakes that are made by a bunch of kids, and at a group of craft stands and beehives on an open plot of grass where some guys are grilling an entire pig on a spit, and I buy a wooden spoon that was carved by a woman named Crystal. I talk to everyone because that's just who I am, whether I'm reporting or not. And I ask them about what they've made, about their recipes, about how their weekend is going. Nearly everyone is chatty and open. And when I comment on how welcoming the whole experience feels to me as an outsider, pretty much everyone I meet jokes that the camaraderie is an anomaly. My guide Hanno sums it up. We're not usually like this, he says. If you smile at an Estonian when you're walking down the street, they'll wonder why you're smiling. But here it's different. In a way, I think that feels very much like New Yorkers. We may not be all sunshine and rainbows when you pass us on the street, but sit us down with a drink and a good plate of food, and we'll be your best friends. A little later when we're driving, Hanno pulls off the main route and starts to slowly plow into the tall grass. Or at least that's what it looks like before I see that he's following 2 tire tracks. At the end, we find an open area in front of a couple of houses. 2 are covered in solar panels. Dozens of people are sitting on tree stumps and at picnic tables. Kids are running around, and a man with a white beard and a gray ponytail and a white knit skull cap is tending to this circular 2-level grill that looks like a flying saucer. I'm mesmerized for a while as he dumps piles of raw onions around the outer ring and fusses over a parade of small lobsters until they're neon red. And then we start to talk. He tells me that this property is a community center. They do master classes in cooking here. Every few minutes, a woman named Trinu comes over with a couple of chunky wooden bowls filled with broth, into which Hanno places one of the crimson lobsters. I look around and I see that nearly everyone in the garden is eating this soup. Some are washing it down with an alcohol made of cloudberry, raspberry, and honey that's being served in little test tubes from a tent. Full bottles are also for sale, and even now, I'm still mad at myself for not buying one. Now would probably be a good time to mention that I didn't try the lobster soup. I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, and I have a list of food allergies. So when I came back from this trip and I was gushing to everyone about it, my friends kept joking, "You don't eat anything. Why were you on a food trail?" But that wasn't what it was about for me. And I think that's really only part of what's so great about this tradition. And anyway, there was plenty of cake, and dessert is my favorite course. So I walk around the grounds and the food displays with Trinu, who I learn is the organizer of the whole Onion Root Day. She says, we do it to be together and make things together. She's really proud of the quality of the food. In fact, she says everyone buys their ingredients from the region, and participants actually have to send in a menu for approval ahead of time. Nowhere is that regional sourcing more obvious than in the village of Kolkia, on the banks of Lake Peipsi. By now, we are in the heart of the Onion Root, where the houses are very colorful. They're all like purple, and every few hundred feet, I see a very old woman sitting at a rickety table hung with ropes of onion that she's selling. On the main street, there's this bright magenta shack that has barn doors flung open to reveal peak onion display. Bunches of them are hanging down artfully, and the doors are decorated with things like an old abacus, dolls made out of small flower pots, and paintings of garlic. There's also an award hanging there for the most eye-catching shop. The ancient woman who runs the place steps to the side as I take some pictures. She doesn't want to be in them, and she's the first person I've met who has no interest in talking to me. She, like most of the older generation in this town, only speaks Russian. But a few doors down, I meet Paolo. A stout 65-year-old man with a full head of white hair, a bushy white mustache, and a thin, proud smile. And he is eager to tell me about his home. He and his wife have a shed full of fresh onion rolls. They're one of the reasons this block smells amazing. Paolo is gregarious. He asks if I want to see their onion fields. And of course I do. So he leads me across the street and through a maze of fences to a field where a dozen long mounds of dark brown soil are clearly losing a battle against a riot of wild grass. In Soviet times, Paolo tells me, the area grew a lot of onions for export, and the government would send big trucks to pick them up. The business made residents wealthy. But now, grocery corporations get their onions elsewhere. The farming has dwindled, and so has the income. Usually it's very quiet in town. But today, lots of people are coming by for the festival. Paolo says that for him, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, he's going to be fishing at 5 a.m. like normal. And he says he likes that better. But based on how sociable he's been, I find that hard to believe. In contrast, a few small streets away, I discover a gallery of contemporary art and photography in a former medical facility. The gallery was started by 3 women from the area nearly 10 years ago. The juxtaposition of an older generation's fading culture and this burgeoning one from younger creatives is striking. Our final stop is at a spot the hosts are calling Neighbors Café. Here, generations of family and friends work together at tents in a shared yard between their cottages. The menu runs the gamut from trendy crepes to old-school bread pudding and fish soup. I hang out with Karina and her mother, Haida, who are making pancakes and crepes. It was Karina's mother who made the 4 a.m. red currant cake. I meet some of her friends who work in various occupations, none of which have anything to do with food or restaurants. It's fun, Karina tells me of Open Cafe Day. You make good food, then you get good food, and the neighbors get good food. I'm stuffed with cakes, parfaits, herb potatoes, and vegetables at this point, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I'm also enjoying all the conversations. With Karina, we chat about our various travels and about a sci-fi event her partner organized, and I comment on how this day has been such a great way to meet people. She agrees, but through what might be a very Estonian lens. She says these days are a way you don't have to bother with small talk, and instead you can show what's important to you, your food, your homes. And I'll tell you, the homes and the land around them are gorgeous. Just getting to drive through southern Estonia and see it all is a treat. At one of the homes, I meet a 30-something Estonian guy named Martin, who's doing the route with his friends. And he says, tourists should come because the homes and local flavors are what they see. The real Estonia is what they see. And from a visitor's point of view, I say he's right. I drove to places that I wouldn't have gone to as a tourist on a typical route. I got to eat homemade food and try personal recipes that I wouldn't have tasted as a tourist on a typical route. And I met people I wouldn't have met. That's like the holy grail of travel. At Open Cafeteria Days, hosts are not just letting visitors into their homes and their gardens, but into their lives, in a way. Because they're not doing it for me or for you. This is not a canned tour. They weren't marketing to an international audience. They were doing it for their own communities. And thanks to a serendipitous conversation with my tour guide and the kindness of all the strangers I met along the way, I got to be part of that. And it turned out to be one of the most special travel experiences I've had. So I'm really grateful to everyone who welcomed me and fed me. 100% worth it to change my flights. 100% worth it, even with all my food restrictions. And again, anyone can join. So I'll leave you with one last note. The 2024 Onion Root Buffet Day is September 7th. Make sure you try the currant cake.
That was Billie Cohen. You can learn more about some of the Estonian adventures that didn't make it into her travel tale, including a run-in with Santa Claus, in my interview with Billie on YouTube. We'll include a link to it in the show notes. We'll also include a link to the story that Billie wrote about bog hiking in Estonia and some details about the country's open cafe days, just in case this episode made you hungry. You can find Billie on Instagram at Billie Travels and read more of her work at billietravels.com. Next week, we're going to be traveling with our very own Travel Tales engineer, Nikki Galteland, who took a solo road trip through Namibia just moments after learning how to drive a stick shift.
As I was driving, I saw a herd of zebras up ahead and slowed down. Suddenly, they were everywhere, meandering through the bushes on either side of the dirt road and straggling in ones and twos across the path. Mesmerized, I lifted my foot off of the gas pedal and stalled the car. For like the 10th time that day.
Ready for more travel tales? Visit afar.com/podcast and be sure to follow us on Instagram and X. We're at Afar Media. If you enjoyed today's exploration, I hope you'll come back for more great stories. Subscribing makes this so easy. You can find Travel Tales by Afar on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to rate and review the show. It helps other travelers find it. This has been Travel Tales, a production of Afar Media. The podcast is produced by Aislinn Green and Nikki Galteland. Music composed and produced by Strike Audio. Everyone has a travel tale. What's yours?